Hey friends, today I want to talk about something I've been working on for quite some time, which is a loadable blob training tool. Something you can add weight to and has some slope. But as we know, the slope is not as easy as putting an angle on something. One of the tools I'll show you does that, but doesn't quite capture all of it. I want to build something that's loadable and simulates the feel of the slope of a blob. Objects like this, which I've made before, only partially capture that slope. And in this case, this one wobbles, and you can tilt it in a bad way. That's not helpful. So let's dive in. This video and this project were made possible by Josh Hensey and by viewers like you. Thank you. So we'll start with the pipe. It's a piece of 6-inch Schedule 40 pipe which has an outside diameter of roughly 6 5/8. We'll also be using a weldable pipe cap, also with a outside diameter of 6 5/8. To avoid boring you to death, I've already cut a section out that I want, and I'm just cutting it down now because I've decided that it's too wide. I've also marked the centers of this, and I'm going to cut it in half as well. So here you can see it's starting to come together. It's not welded yet, but the two halves are put on either side of the pipe. At this point, I'm really liking it. And here I've tack welded it. For those of you that care, I beveled the inside edge of the pipe because the thickness of the caps and the thickness of the pipe were too different. That bevel will ensure adequate penetration. Here's the loading pin, not put together yet. I like to use 1.5" square tubing because it allows you to sit your plates down flush on the floor without the plates contacting the weld. And if you ask me, it makes a very sturdy loading pin. Lately I've been toying around with filming my welds. Anytime you want to get good at something, really good at it, you need to start filming yourself and critiquing. Now, I'm not quite good at filming yet, but this is an arc shot, for those of you that don't know. And as expected, the 7018 went in there very nicely. Remember, welding, cutting, grinding, this produces gases and dusts that are bad for you. So now we're back to the blob, and we're going to weld it out. Another arc shot. Once again, I'm still experimenting with the lens, getting the lens right, getting the darkness right. But those of you that have watched arc shots on YouTube before know what's going on here. For those of you that don't, this is black magic. Now earlier we made the loading pin, and this is going to be how it attaches to the loading pin. I really like this because it is a very secure, no wobble, no movement fit up. I really like it, and I think other people will like it too. So now it's time to weld this to the blob so that we can attach weight to it. Now, there's a lot of processes you could use, and all of them work really well. MIG, stick, TIG. For this application, I'm going to stick weld it. Now I could get a MIG gun down in there, and I could even get a TIG gun, but I probably wouldn't be able to see very well. Sometimes stick welding is just better. I don't care what you say about it. Once again, the 7018 rod did not disappoint. And here's a finished blob with the welds blended off. And you'll see here I've got two of them. I've got a wider version and a narrower version. Personally, I think that the narrower version is going to be of most value to most people. Even though it is narrower than the wider version, my opinion, based on the testing that I've done, is it's going to give you the most realistic feel for a blob. And definitely the slope on it, even though it is narrower, it feels closer to blobs between the weights of like 37 and 45 pounds. So the wider version is actually, to me, feels a lot like a glob top or a moon top. And I am not intending to replace these training tools. I think they're great training tools. I'm not intending to replace them. I'm trying to make something different and something that's better. And here you'll see that I'm removing them, and the wider one, although dimensionally it looks very similar to the actual half 100 blob, it is significantly harder, and that is because of that slope. This one, much smaller, much narrower I should say, but pound for pound, it's going to give you probably the best transfer. And what I mean by that is it's going to give you pound for pound. If you can pick up a half 85 blob, I think you're going to be able to pick up a half 85 with this weight, and it's going to put you right about the same feel. So as a training tool, it's going to give you the right feel, and it's going to give you the right amount of carryover between the two items. Now, both of these are awaiting testing from the beta tester, so I'm waiting for feedback on that. Now this, I mentioned this item earlier. This is something that I made and I sent to a grip board member, and the immediate feedback was that he really liked it. Now this was a extremely simple item to make and build, and it obviously has slope, but more or less that's an angle. So thanks for watching. Feel free to give me any feedback.